Have you ever felt like your mind just works differently from everyone else around you? Not necessarily better, just different. Maybe you notice contradictions that other people ignore. Maybe conversations that excite everyone else feel strangely shallow to you. You ask deeper questions. You analyze things most people accept without thinking. And at some point, someone probably told you the same thing. You think too much. But what if thinking deeply isn't the problem? What if your mind simply operates at a level most people aren't used to? Psychologists have noticed a strange pattern about highly intelligent individuals. They rarely walk around feeling superior. Instead, many of them feel disconnected, not because they dislike people, but because their brains constantly search for meaning, patterns, and hidden layers beneath everyday life. Ironically, some of the most common signs of intelligence don't look impressive at all. They look like overthinking, restlessness, even loneliness. So in this video, we're going to explore 10 subtle signs that you might actually be too smart for most people around you. And by the end, you might finally understand why your mind has always felt a little different. There is a paradox psychologists often discuss when studying intelligence. The smarter the brain becomes, the more complicated reality starts to look. Highly analytical minds rarely accept things at face value. They question motives. They examine contradictions. They replay conversations long after they end. Neuroscience offers one explanation. Highly intelligent individuals often show stronger activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for reasoning, planning, and abstract thinking. But there is another network involved as well, the default mode network. This system becomes active when the brain turns inward, reflecting, imagining, and analyzing experiences. For deep thinkers, this network rarely switches off. Their minds keep running simulations, replaying ideas, connecting dots others never notice. And while this ability fuels creativity and insight, it also creates distance. Because when your mind constantly searches for deeper meaning, ordinary conversations and everyday routines can start to feel strangely empty, which leads to a series of behaviors psychologists frequently observe in people with unusually analytical minds. Here are 10 signs your intelligence might be setting you apart more than you realize. Intelligence doesn't always show itself through grades, titles, or achievements. Sometimes it reveals itself through habits of the mind, small behaviors, subtle reactions, ways of thinking that feel completely natural to you, but confusing to others. Psychologists have identified several patterns that appear again and again among highly analytical people. If many of these signs feel familiar, it may explain why you've often felt slightly out of sync with the world around you. Let's start with the first one. Sign 1. You question everything. When someone presents a fact, you rarely accept it immediately. Your mind asks, is that actually true? This behavior is linked to something psychologists call epistemic curiosity, the drive to search for truth rather than simple information. While others enjoy the conversation, your brain starts investigating. You check sources. You examine contradictions. This protects you from manipulation, but it can also make you seem skeptical or overly serious. Sign 2. You get bored quickly. Many intelligent people experience what psychologists call low tolerance for mental monotony. Once your brain understands a system, the excitement disappears. Your dopamine system stops responding to repetition, so you move on. New ideas, new projects, new problems to solve. From the outside, it may look like instability, but internally, your brain is simply chasing stimulation. Sign 3. You argue with yourself in your own head. Before you even speak, your mind has already debated both sides of the conversation. This internal dialogue is a form of dialectical reasoning. Your brain constructs an idea, then immediately tests it. What if I'm wrong? This mental courtroom helps refine your thinking, but it also means certainty is rare. Your mind always finds another angle. Sign 4. You notice emotional shifts others miss. You walk into a room and immediately sense tension. A smile that looks genuine to everyone else feels slightly forced to you. Highly analytical people often develop strong emotional perception. Your brain reads micro-expressions, tone changes, and subtle body language. The amygdala processes these signals rapidly, which means you often feel the emotional atmosphere of a room before anyone says a word. But the downside is emotional overload. Social environments can become exhausting, but the next sign reveals something even more surprising. Sign 5. You constantly search for patterns. Random events rarely feel random to you. Your brain connects ideas, behaviors, and outcomes. Pattern recognition is strongly linked to activity between the prefrontal cortex and associative memory systems. This ability fuels creativity and innovation, but it also creates a strange side effect. You see complexity everywhere. What others dismiss as coincidence, your mind experiences as a puzzle. Sign 6. You struggle with small talk. You can participate in it, but it drains you. Surface conversations feel like intellectual static. Your mind prefers deeper topics. Philosophy, psychology, human behavior, the future. It's not arrogance. It's curiosity that runs deeper than casual chatter. Sign 7. Your sense of humor can be unexpectedly dark. Research from the University of Vienna suggests that people who appreciate dark humor often show higher levels of cognitive processing. Understanding these jokes requires holding multiple emotional layers simultaneously. You recognize irony faster than your emotional filters react. While others feel uncomfortable, your brain detects the clever contradiction behind the joke. But the next sign might be the most powerful of all. Sign 8. You overthink happiness itself. Many people simply pursue happiness. You analyze it. What is happiness really? Why do humans chase meaning? Why does satisfaction fade so quickly? Highly analytical minds often experience existential questioning. Your brain zooms out to the bigger picture of life, and sometimes that perspective makes everyday pleasures feel temporary or fragile. Sign 9. Your mind moves faster than conversations. You often arrive at conclusions long before others do. This creates something psychologists call asynchronous communication. Your thoughts skip steps others need. You see the destination while they are still processing the map. Over time, this gap can make conversations frustrating. Sign 10. You often feel like an outsider, even among friends, even among people you love. It's not that you dislike connection, but part of your mind is always observing, analyzing, reflecting. Psychologists sometimes describe this as metacognitive awareness, the ability to watch your own thoughts while experiencing them. It's powerful, but it can also create distance. Modern society rewards speed, distraction, and constant stimulation. But highly analytical minds operate differently. They slow down experiences. They examine meaning. The brain networks responsible for introspection, the default mode network, tend to remain highly active in deep thinkers. This constant internal reflection creates insight, but it can also create isolation. Because when your mind explores deeper layers of reality, everyday life can feel strangely simplified. From a psychological perspective, intelligence is not only about knowledge, it is about how the brain processes complexity. Highly analytical individuals often combine several cognitive traits: pattern recognition, metacognition, emotional perception, curiosity. These systems work together to create a mind that constantly explores possibilities. But like any powerful system, this also increases mental load. The brain simply processes more information than average, which explains why deep thinkers often feel both fascinated by the world and overwhelmed by it. If many of these signs felt familiar, there is something important to remember. Feeling different doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It often means your mind simply experiences the world in more layers. History is filled with thinkers who felt out of place in their time. Scientists, artists, philosophers. What looked like isolation was often just perspective. So instead of trying to silence your curiosity, learn to use it. Because the same mind that sometimes makes you feel different is also the mind capable of seeing possibilities others never notice. So I'm curious, how many of these signs felt familiar to you? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy exploring the psychology of the human mind, make sure to subscribe, because in the next videos, we'll dive even deeper into how intelligence shapes the way we experience the world.